What's going on, y'all? Welcome to Joel Friday TV. I am Joel Friday. A few announcements before we get started. Hit that like button, smack it, lay the smack down the like, subscribe, and share button. Tell your peoples about the show. So we get the subscribers up and the message out. Do it now. Help a brother out. As you guys know, we are live Monday through Thursday at 11 a.m. Pacific time on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Punchy.tv. And at any point during the show, you can call in at 888-775-3773, 888-775-3773, and we can get into whatever's on your mind, soul, heart, and spirit. We can get into it. And if for whatever reason you can't call in, but you still have a question or comment, or you just want to support the show, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/JoelFridayTV, or go directly to the YouTube live chat. Hit the super chat button there. Send your question or comments in. I'll read them live on air. All right? I will read them live on air. You can also send in topic suggestions, right? Topic ideas. You can send those in as well. And if it makes sense and the Lord is willing, I'll get into them. All right? Good stuff. What's today? Today's Wednesday. What does that mean? Middle of the week. What does that also mean? Fourth day of the week. What does that also mean? Relationships Wednesday. Your favorite day of the week, as requested. Most popular stream on the JFTV show. Relationships, dating, marriage, and all things above on Wednesdays. And we get into it today. But you guys know how I structure my show. A little bit of appetizer before the full course, all right? We got to start off with a little bit of appetizer, right? A little something light, you know what I mean? Get the palate going. Get your taste buds flowing. And then we get into that full course meal, all right? All right? So let's start off with a little bit of appetizer. Here's some news. This is from Fox 12, Oregon, okay? Road rage incident breaks out on freeway, almost killing man, and mother and sister explain how they feel about the incident. Here we go.
It's really hard to watch just because it's so deliberate. Like, he literally could have died, and I don't know who could do that. Like, I just don't understand who has that within them to do that.
Brittany and Patsy, the sister and mother of a 21-year-old motorcyclist, Corey, says they're still trying to make sense of a road rage incident turned hit and run Monday morning that nearly took his life. Beaverton police say it happened around 6:16 a.m. on Highway 26 westbound between 217 and Cedar Hills Boulevard.
The driver hit him so hard that my son's clutch lever went through the complete side of his steel-toe boots. That's how bad he hit him.
Samir Pizzotto Philho.
Following a community tip, Beaverton police arrested Samir at his home in Washington County near Highway 26. Officers saw him driving the blue Kia Carnival in question. They believe the damage you see here is from the crash yesterday.
And he had to have seen him fall. Like, there's no way around that. And then you just kept driving. Like, he could have just been dead on the side of the road.
Miraculously, and thanks in part to a good Samaritan named Lucy who stopped to help. Not only is Corey alive, but the 21-year-old, minus a serious concussion and plenty of road rash, was taken to a Portland trauma center and walked out hours later without even breaking a bone.
He literally could have killed my brother today. And that's all that I just want you to acknowledge, that he could have lost his life, and that's nothing to play around with.
Okay, so let's get into this really quick. What the mother and the sister want is acknowledgement. I don't really know what they want. I don't really know what they want from that situation, right? Do they want an apology? I don't really know what they want, right? What the tears are for, because he is alive, right? It's unfortunate that that situation happened, of course, but he's alive. He didn't die. I don't understand quite really what they want, right? The tears are asking for something, but I don't know what it is. But one thing I will say is they're not being entirely honest, right? And, you know, the man is lucky to be alive, of course, but why didn't they say, what about the man who was giving a finger to the guy, right? He was involved. You know what I mean? He didn't just get randomly hit and then, you know, slid to the other side of it. No, he brought that on as well. Why is he going to flip off a guy in a car when he's in a motorcycle, right? What do you think is going to happen, right? He was angry. This stuff happens, right? He is not an innocent little guy, young guy on a motorcycle, 21. He is not no victim, right? So kind of shame on the parents and the sister, the family for trying to, that's why I don't understand what's in it for them, why they're doing this. I don't understand because they weren't being entirely honest about the situation. And he didn't die. He's okay, right? He didn't have no broken bones. He got little scrapes and stuff like that. And if they're scared, maybe they're scared, but I still don't understand why. So there's more that I don't get, but they're not being honest. Come on. Freedom of speech. That ain't had nothing to do with freedom of speech. The man is flipping off the other guy, right? And does that justify him getting hit like that? No, but what do you expect? We can't act like that's a surprise that there's somebody who is going to take their road rage to another level, right? We know that that's the behavior of people. We know that's how people think. So it just wasn't smart of him to, and it doesn't warrant somebody knocking you off your bike, right? You should be able to say a couple things and go about your day. But you can't be like, well, why would he do that? Well, come on, you flipped off somebody who was angrier than you and decided to try to take your life. So you just got to be honest. That's all I'm saying. You just got to be honest. You just got to be honest. So that was just a little news. Nothing crazy, but I just thought that was interesting. Anyway, let's get into that real stuff. Let's get into that real stuff. I got the plate. The plate is ready. I got the plate. All right. And it's nice and hot. Nice and hot. All right. So proceed with caution. Okay. Anyway, so I want to talk about this lust and love thing because it is Relationship Wednesday. I want to get into this stuff, right? I got some stuff I want to get into because I was thinking as I'm preparing, right? Trying to think of some things to come to get into, browsing a little bit. And then it kind of like dawned on me that where there's love, men are in control. And where there's lust, women are in control. I realized that. And I was like, wow, that is kind of interesting. Is that wherever you find love, men are in control. Men are leading. Wherever there's love. Wherever there's lust, right? Women are leading. Women are in charge. And I think, it made me think about like, well, what does that mean, right? Lust, right? Where does that come from? And I realized that also that men, we chase things. We chase things, whether it be women themselves, whether it be money, whether it be status, whether it be success, whether it be whatever. We chase things, right? We lust after things. Why? Only for one reason, to please the woman. That's it. All of it is just to please the woman or a woman or whatever. All of it is. All of this trying to talk to multiple, all of this trying to chase this or this and that, success, all of that is a lusting after something because it's going to bring something in return, right? To show off to the woman. It all circles back to the woman. Now, mind you, while women may love a man more for these things, or lust over a man more for these things, right? Money, success, status, power, right? Though a man has more access and more choice when he has these things, and women want him, right? And they worship him. What actually is happening is the man is worshiping the woman, right? The woman is in control. Even from the woman is still dominant, right? And I was thinking like, wow, that's like, and it brings me to society today. It made me realize like why society is the way it is because why women are in control is because men chase. Men have no love. Okay? And what happens is it puts the ball in the women's court, right? When men lust, when men chase, when men do all these things to entertain and please the woman, what happens is it puts the ball in her court, right? Because all they have to do is cease to exist. And what does that mean? All they have to do is get rid of all of their value. And what do men do? Stop producing, right? Stop producing. So oftentimes women are running these things because the driver is a man's ability to want to impress her. And what does that do for the woman? What does that do for the woman? What it does, it puts her in control. It puts her in the driver's seat. And then the reason why, in my belief, society has gotten to the place it's gotten today is because women see that, notice that, and they love that control, right? They love that control that it brings, right? And they become addicted to that control. They become addicted to that security, that false sense of security, right? It allows them to get away with everything and anything because the ball is in their court. And it's dressed up as if the ball is in the man's court because the man with the status and the money and the this and this and that he attained by this desire, he seemingly looks like he's at the top and all the women are trying to climb to get to him. No, but that's not the case because all of this came from his desire for them. You know what I mean? So they shift the goalpost. And that's what's happening today is they're getting away with it because this is their world. You gotta, and the thing too is that the reason why when there's lust, it's the woman's world, right? Where the women are in control when it comes to lust, right? Because lust comes from feelings, right? Women, feelings are the woman's, that's their habitat. That's their natural habitat, okay? And what I mean by natural is that that's what is most relevant to them, right? That's the most common language naturally for women is their emotions, right? And obviously they can go overcome, guys can overcome, we are to overcome, right? But reality is that they operate out of emotions far more often and frequently than men do, right? So what does that do for women? It allows them to become like, I'm gonna use that new term that the kids are using today, emotionally intelligent. And how does that happen? Because they become so accustomed, they know how to deal with it. They know how to deal with their feelings, meaning they know how to navigate, they know how to use them, they know how to operate in them, right? They know that lifestyle, right? And it is not natural for men to operate there. So what happens is when men fall into the lust or the feelings or the emotions, we're at a place, right? Or at least we don't know how to navigate, right? This is why when men get sick or when men get hurt or whatever, like we become like little babies, right? We become like little babies to where like we're like, oh my God, poor, blah, 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 right? Because it's not natural. We don't operate there, right? Women tend to operate in a place that is more emotional, so they know how to navigate through that. They're used to it. They're comfortable with it. They've grown accustomed to living that way, right? To the pains, right? To the conflict. They've grown accustomed to it. So when we fall into conflict, we go crazy. We can't handle it, right? Because that is not our natural habitat. So when there's feelings and emotions involved in any way, however that manifests itself, by way of sex, by way of lust, by way of excitement, by way of happiness, by way of all these emotions, right? Anger, whatever, you will always lose the battle to the woman. Always. You will always lose the battle. And in society today, us men don't know love, right? Some are on our way, right? Some of us are on our way, trying, learning, maybe can recognize love and understand that there's something more, right? Can separate ourselves from the feelings a little bit, right? Recognize that they're not of us and all that stuff, right? But because there's no love, then there won't be men won't be in control. It's just not how it's meant to operate. Am I making sense? Am I making sense? And women will overcome that as well. Women will overcome that as well. And they'll be able to operate out of love as well. Right? They'll be able to do that as well. But that's just how naturally women operate. And until that changes, it'll always be the woman's world, period. I know we say it's a man's world and all that stuff. And in the grand scheme of things, in the bigger picture, God is in control, so he's always the one that's on top, right? But on a lower level, on a small scale, the women are running the stuff because the men are addicted to the women. The men are addicted to lust. Moving on, because I want to talk about the why this happens. How do men become addicted to lust? And then I'm going to be off this. And then we'll get to the calls. I got another story for you. I got maybe some super chats. We'll go into that. I want to say why. Why are the men addicted to lust? Why do we care about silly stuff? Why is the woman our God? Why has it become that way, right? Well, because, for one, no direction in our adolescence, right? No example of love from a masculine point of view, right? Some did have it, most don't, right? So you go where it makes the most sense for survival. Everybody knows that, right? And feelings tend to be the place most people go. There's no example. But what happens is we escape into the imagination, right? Because the imagination becomes our survival. The imagination becomes our sense of confidence, security, love, all these different things. But it gives the false version, right? It gives feelings and emotions and blah, blah, blah. So then we stay weak. But what happens is men chase what is desirable, right? Because desire brings satisfaction. And we chase what we think is proper, okay? But what happens is, where does that come from? Where does that desire come from? The imagination. And the imagination comes from straight hell, right? And it's the imagination creates something out of nothing, right? There's no reason why we should like 100 girls at once. There's no reason why we desire 50 women, right? There's no reason for that. What reason there's for that? Nobody can give you a logical reason why we would need 50 women, other than the fact that it's desirable. Where did that desire come from? How is that created? It's because, man, we like to chase after things. We like to lust after things. But it's not rooted in anything. It literally is made up. It's like your favorite candy bar, right? Some will say Reese's, tick, gross. Let's just say Kit Kat. Kit Kat. Flavor so good. Best flavor in the world, right? Just the best. Just so good. Tasty. But literally made in a lab. It don't come from the earth. Name one Kit Kat came from the earth. Name one candy that came from the earth. Nothing. Literally made in a lab. Artificial flavoring is literally made in a lab. All that stuff is created from nothing, right? It doesn't have no root. There's no foundation. There's no base. It comes from nothing. So it has to be created to whatever, right? To consume. That's how our imagination is with all this lust and all this stuff. It's created from nothing in the imagination, but it is nothing. It's nothing, right? Love is in opposition to that. Love doesn't chase. Love receives, right? Love doesn't go after anything. Love receives. Love attracts. Also, love releases, right? So if you have love, you're not into your imagination, because love doesn't reach out for anything. It has no reason to dwell in the imagination, because it's not chasing anything. It's not looking for anything. It doesn't want anything. It's satisfied. So it releases things, right? And when that happens is when life starts to make more sense. So I say all that to say that until us men return to love completely, return to God, then we can't complain about the status of America, right? We can't complain about that all the ladies are behaving this way and all the OnlyFans. And let's be honest, ain't no man really mad about OnlyFans. Maybe the ones that are like, really, in the light, overcoming. Ain't no men that sit up there on podcasts, and I've probably done it as well, and say that they're mad about OnlyFans. Come on. How is OnlyFans created? How is OnlyFans so popular? Because of men. Men's lustful eye. Right? Why does makeup exist as it does? Men's lustful eye. Why is there enhancements? Men's lustful eye. Right? And we can be mad about it and say, what's wrong? Why would you? And I've done it. Why would you get some of that fake stuff? It don't look normal. It don't look natural. It don't look good. But we lying. Because that's what we chasing. That's why it's popular, is because it works. That's why women do it. It works. And women may know they're lying. But they ain't lonely. So we got to return to love. It's y'all's fault. No, I think both people need to take responsibility. I think women should not settle for less. They should not go and get the enhancements just because that'll give them attention. No, you be that lonely girl that loves God. You be that. Don't change up because ain't no man in the world love you or something. Right? Be that lonely girl that get no attention because nobody out in the world has real love. Be that one girl that then I ain't getting married. I'm staying with God. I ain't getting married then. But God's going to have someone out there for you. He'll make it happen. Because if there's a lady out there doing it, there's a man out there doing it. If there's a man out there doing it, there's a woman out there doing it. God knows what he's doing. So anyway. Let me go to Germaine out of Canada. Germaine, welcome to the show. You're on the air.
Hey, Joel, how are you?
All is well, Germaine. How's it going?
Amazing. I just want to touch on the topic that you're on. You're so on point with what's happening in society, man, when it comes to the lust and love thing.
Yeah.
Because it is so funny because both sex, they're operating out of fear, right? You touch on the point. I used to be like, watch the red pill content. And what they don't realize is that they're being controlled by the woman. But they don't see it because now women are setting a standard in society for a man to be making a certain amount of money, to have this, to have the car, the nice stuff. Man, they're chasing after it out of fear, being controlled by the woman, not even realizing it.
Yeah, that's so true.
It's just funny.
Yeah.
And the man, they're getting it so they can be with a woman, not knowing the woman is controlling them. So it's just funny how things come full circle.
That's the whole thing, is that like they feel that's such a good point, man, is that they feel that like they're not good enough if they don't have these things because women don't like them. So they think that they're gonna it's like women bully the men by not being wanted by them. So then now the men say, well, I'm gonna show you, and they get all this money just to get them. So it's like you didn't win. You just, played into the hand of the game. So it is interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But, I used to watch the red pill content, and I've gone through a couple of relationships, and now that, I found Jesse and he opens my eyes up, was the work of the Father,
Yeah.
He opened my eyes up to, like, you know, a lot of men, they are insecure because it comes from our mother when we were young. You know,
Yeah.
we're looking for that when we can't control the situation, just like the red pill dude. They'll be like, get the money. They're trying to control the situation
Yeah.
now, just by getting money
Yeah.
to find a woman. But in retrospect, it's just mama insecurity that's in
Yeah.
us, and now we just want to control, which is
Yeah.
fake love.
Yeah, that's such a good point, man. It's just that's all fake love. You're 100% right. It's like you chasing all these things are just bringing a fleeting feeling that comes and goes. It's not going to actually bring you security, but we think it does. It's like chasing control. A good way to put it.
Yeah, and it turns out that you're not even happy.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
Yeah. And you know what's so interesting is that I found that when I used to chase these things, like trying to just work 100 hours a week and try to do all these things, I just found that I was stressed. You know what I mean? It just brought stress to me. It didn't bring peace. I kept always chasing. I always kept thinking that should I be doing more? Like it was never peaceful. It was always expectation. And yeah, you may get a result because you put enough work in. Eventually, it'll snowball. But at what risk? You know, at what cost to your health, to your life, to your time, and all that stuff. You know.
You're exactly right, because I used to work for a job in sales, right? And I stopped working for them now, and I noticed I was doing that job out of fear. And also, they will use that same fear to control me.
Yeah.
It was so funny because they're like, oh, you can make so much money. That is true.
Yeah.
But you work so hard, and it takes a while to get to where you want.
Yeah.
And I was never happy. You know, I was
Yeah.
just chasing after something out of fear.
Yeah.
And they use that fear to control me. And I was like, wow. That's
Yeah.
just wild.
That's so
But,
interesting, man. It's interesting how it works that way. And
yeah, I appreciate. Oh, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say, I want to hear what you think about this. Is that it almost feels like when you do less in your mind, and this is operating out of fear as well. It's like when you do less, when you give up and you stop chasing, it feels lazy. It feels like you're gonna end up nowhere. It feels like you're good for nothing. When in actuality, that's when you really start receiving. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
But it's definitely taught to don't be stagnant. Don't stay whatever they say in that industry. But it really is how you actually become successful, how you actually overcome and all these things. It's not trying to do it yourself and all that.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, you can definitely have a business that provides good service, but the way you go about doing it is very crucial, because you could just be using people to get what you want out of it and don't care about them in the process.
Yeah.
Just like what Jesse would say, the children of the lie does, you know? But,
yeah.
Yeah, man, I appreciate chatting with you, Joel.
No, good points, Germaine, and good conversation, man. I appreciate it. Call me again.
All right, man. Have a good one.
All
Bye.
right, you too. That's interesting. Because I found that, and it's so crazy because we're constantly in battle with the world. We're constantly in battle with the people's opinions. And that's what really doesn't allow us to just do us, right? Because I remember in my life, I've noticed that when I just simply do what's in front of me to do, just what is right there in front, that's on my plate, that's it. Right? No plan, just what's in front of me to do. I have so much more time on my hands, right? I have so much more freedom to enjoy my life, right? To hang out, to have friends that actually have a life, right? But you're constantly being told that go make the most of your time. Go make sure you work all the way for your 20s and 30s so that way you can enjoy your life in your 40s and 50s. And it's such a setup because you can enjoy your life now and still make money, right? You can enjoy your life now and still be growing, and finding this thing, because what's happening is you're building brick by brick, right? But guess what? The house won't fall. The house won't fold, right? You're building brick by brick naturally and slowly, right? Because it's meant to be built slow. It ain't meant to be built in a rush. Because guess what? You build it in a rush, you forgot to screw that in over there. You forgot that nail over there. Next thing you know, your whole house falling. And when I say you battle against the world, that's so true. Because I remember, and back to like ladies being the approval of all the things that men do is so true. I don't even know what to tell you. It's not proper, but that's just the reality. Because it would bother me when I would tell, like, say if I was dating before, not anymore. I'm locked in now. But I was dating before, and I'd just be like, they'd be asking me like, well, like, what do you do? I'd be like, oh, I do this, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, so what do you do after work? I'm like, oh, nothing. I just go home and I'm just chilling. And they used to like give me that look or that, you know what I mean? It would be that weird, like they're judging, right? And it would be like, and they wouldn't straight up say like, that's it or anything like that. They wouldn't be straight up, but you would know that they'd be thinking like, you're lazy. Right? Why aren't you working? Why aren't you ambitious? Why aren't you chasing that money? Why aren't you hustling? They would look at me like that, and then I would feel a certain way. I'd be like, dang, maybe I should be doing a little bit more. Let me read a book. Let me read. But then I started to realize that ain't it. That ain't it. That ain't it. There's a life to be enjoyed right now. And you don't got to wait till you get this type of status or whatever, or success. You can enjoy the life right now. So that's what I had to say about that. Let me get the super chats. Super chats. Oh, Eric Harlan coming in. Eric Harlan ain't playing with y'all. Eric Harlan coming in right now. He said, women aren't emotionally intelligent. They're emotionally abusive. Oh, man. He says, there's a difference. Emotional intelligence is the ability to regulate your emotions. Women are very good at regulating emotions, Eric. Now, it may get to them at times, right? They may overreact here and there. They may get caught up in them. They may use them against you. But they know how to regulate it. Why? They live there, Eric. I'm telling you. But maybe we're saying the same thing, but just in a different way. Emotional intelligence is the ability to regulate your emotions. Women don't possess this ability because they live in their imagination. Right. But they do know how to regulate. Women are emotionally dependent, emotionally abusive. Men fight physically, women fight emotionally. Women should never tolerate physical abuse from men. Men should never tolerate emotional abuse from a woman. Well, that's like, okay, I'll switch it then. I'll switch it, Eric. That's like if a man, let's say his natural habitat is to protect, right, or defend, to fight, right, whether that be physically, verbally, whatever. His natural habitat is to fight and defend. Well, if he goes up against a woman, right? If a woman faces off against a man in his natural habitat, what is gonna happen? The man's gonna win, right? Because that's the men's natural habitat, his natural place to be. So guess what? He is intelligent in that way. He knows his ability, right? That's what I mean. The women are the same way when it comes to your emotions, right? They live there. They know that. They have to deal with that every day in and out. And they don't get to just, like men, let's say we get emotional for a second. It's easy for us to come out of those emotions and go back to our life, right? We don't got to fester there. We don't got to dwell there. We can be out of it. Women oftentimes stay there, right? Whether they want to be there, whether they don't know how to get out of there, whatever. They end up staying there. So what happens? They learn to live life in those emotions. They just learn to live there, right? So they learn how to navigate. They plant their home there. They build their home there. Not all women, right? They build their home there. They adapt. And they work around the emotion. And that's their home. That's their place. That's their castle. So if anybody comes in there, a foreigner comes in to the woman's castle, right? What's going to happen? He ain't standing no chance. He ain't standing no chance. That's why the woman is meant to go into the man's world, right? Because the man is supposed to represent God, right? And a man is supposed to go up to the woman is supposed to go up to the man's world where Jesus, God, and heaven exist, right? And the man is not supposed to go down into the woman's world where emotions and feelings and hell and lust exist. Why? Because she's going to run this. She's going to run this. This is her place. And we want to pull her out of that. We want to get her out of that. You know what I'm saying? So women are emotionally intelligent. Don't border hop my castle. Oh man, that's interesting. Oh, but Eric ain't done with y'all. Eric ain't done with y'all. Let me see. Eric says from yesterday a couple points that I want to bring up. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying man would ever commit a crime. I'm saying crime would be rare. He says if women wouldn't ever sleep with a criminal, men wouldn't be scared would be scared to commit a crime because women would be repulsed by criminals. The point is men and women would ostracize criminals from society. The only reason men commit crime is because, oh wait, I read that wrong. Anyway, Eric's basically saying that if women didn't like men who commit crimes, men wouldn't commit the crimes. Interesting. But anyway, pay for all that expense. Let me see here. I got another little story for you guys that I'm gonna get to. Because on the topic of adoption, any of you guys for adoption? Who's for adoption? Oh, Thomas says, Joel, that is utter nonsense. Ooh. I could be, hey, listen, my opinion. And the topic of adoption. I never thought about it. I don't think it's a bad thing. You never know, especially if, let's just say you guys can't have children, God forbid. Then now you guys can do it in vitro. Trump is trying to do that, but that's a whole nother thing. In vitro. Because I know people who donate their ladies who have donated their eggs so people can have. But I guess there's a proper way to go about that, and then it can be done properly. I think so. But when it comes to adopting, I think that it can be a good thing when done properly, right? When done because that's the right thing to do, opposed to based off of like, you know, I don't know, weird things. Sometimes people just do weird things. And the reason why I say it, because there was this young girl that was adopted, and they did a little video on it. And the parents revealed to her by way of like a present, right? Gave her a present and told her that they were going to adopt her, and she kind of like broke down. I want to play that, and I want to see what you guys think about it. Here we go.
All right, well, there's one more gift.
We have one more
It's
gift.
not from Grammy, but it's another gift. Why don't you careful open it up? There we go. I want you to read it.
I'm going to be adopted?
Oh, that's so cute. Now, your first thought is like, well, depends on how judgmental you are, okay? Depending on your scale of judgment, what your first thought is. But it made me think about, like, imagine Richard Ramirez, right? I talked about it yesterday on True Crime. How horrible his upbringing was. How every person he turned to for guidance literally just screwed him over. Right? And I was thinking about how if somebody decided to just for one adopt Richard, he was probably cooked by the time at 10 though. He was probably already too far gone. But if they would have somebody just one of the people he came across in his life happened to have love or treat him in the right way, he would have maybe had a fighting chance. So that's when I think of like maybe adoption for some people is not such a bad idea. Right? Of course people want their original parents, right? They're the parents that gave birth to them. Of course, everybody wants that and everybody should have that. But what about the people who have those parents, but those parents are all jacked up, who don't have love? Then I'm sure any child will prefer a family that's not necessarily theirs, but offers them love. They would choose that any day, right? So I think it could be a good thing. Let me check these super chats real quick, and then I gotta end coming up soon here. Super chat from yesterday. We got Mr. Kel Samogi, in referring to Richard Ramirez, True Crime yesterday. Some people know it's wrong, and that's what makes it fun for them. Some justify what they know is wrong. Both know it's wrong. Yeah, I think they know their behavior. They know what they're getting into to some degree. They may not know the depths of it, but they know. And then that's why we have the ability to turn away, right? Some people don't turn. Some people stay, but they'll be held responsible for that. God will hold them responsible. So, yeah, you're right. Everybody knows at some point that their behavior is what it is. They're not just blind and oblivion. but they are blind to the fact that they don't understand or know what love is. Because if they did, they would seek that over the little thrills. Bible Talk with Seasal says Joel would invite the serial killer over so Lil C can make him enchiladas. Oh, I think I read that. Why not? Let serial killers got to eat too. Serial killers like enchiladas too. They don't get no food. God said that he brings the light and the dark, the sun and the moon sets on the evildoers and the good and the evil. So, come on. Let me check one more last thing. I got 1 minute left. I think I got Eric silent. Usually Eric will come back to back with some buy me a coffees. He'll just keep coming. Boom, boom, boom. I think maybe I got him unless he stopped watching. But Eric's a smart guy. So I always appreciate the chats from Eric. All right, y'all. I gotta end. Amazing stuff. Thanks for the calls, the super chats, the viewers. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for listening. Hope that made sense. We're going to get into some more stuff tomorrow. Tomorrow will be my last day of the week. Thursday will be my last day of the week. We get into character breakdown Thursdays. For whatever reason, I love Thursdays. I love the Thursdays. So hopefully we get into some good stuff. And Joel Friday TV across the board, Punchy TV across the board, or YouTube and Instagram, and X. Punchy is on X. Make sure you guys check that out. And American Anchor Baby is coming in right now in about 6 minutes here for his show. You want to make sure you guys catch that. Until next time, y'all, I gotta go. Bye.